Hello everyone and welcome back to the Self-Care Backpack YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk about self-care when everything's just rubbish, when you're tired, when you haven't got the energy, the time or the space, but you still need to do things to look after yourself. But first I'm going to jump into my disclaimer. So my name is Jem, I run Self-Care Backpack, which comprises of resource packs with tools and tips and exercises about self-care. I also do YouTube videos and newsletters and talks and workshops all about like self-care and well-being and mental health. All that said, I am not a mental health professional. Everything I talk about are things that I've experienced, all the tools that I've used or do use now. So they help me and they hopefully help others, but I am not professionally trained. I do have a link in the description to a page full of professional resources and helplines if you want to look at something more professional. Do check that out. If there are some links on there that I'm missing, because I am absolutely missing loads of links, please do drop me a message and I'll add them and I can give you a shout out in the next video if you'd like, or you can remain anonymous. Either's great. Cool. So the video. So this video originally was going to be about mood tracking, but that's going to come out in a couple of weeks. This felt a bit more immediately useful to people. So I have a maxim, a saying, when it comes to self-care when things are tough. And that saying is, if something is worth doing, it is worth doing poorly. That means if I haven't got the energy to do a yoga session or cook something nutritious from scratch for myself, or even shower, I can still do things, smaller things, littler things that still make me feel good, even if they're not the full thing that I would normally do. For example, if I can't shower because I'm not well or I haven't got the energy, all that kind of stuff, instead what I'll do is, at some point when I go to the bathroom after washing my hands and everything, I'll just splash my face with water, give myself a bit of a refresh, make me feel like a bit of a human again, and then after that I may actually wash my face properly, I may jump into the shower, I may not. It's just something that gives me a little bit of a refresh, a little moment just to remind myself that these things feel good and that I should try to do them when I can. And it's just things like that, right? Self-care should fit around your life and your circumstances. Routines are absolutely useful and can be vital for some people. I am really bad at letting perfect get in the way of good enough. So if I have a routine and then I skip a day for whatever reason, I will throw that whole routine away, thinking that if I can't do it perfectly, it's not worth doing it all. And that's not great. That's really not how anything works. I'm getting better at just realising I had to take the day or it just wasn't working that day and then come back to it the next day or the day after that and then get back into it. But I think a lot of people are similar, right? We want things to be perfect, so we don't bother doing them because we don't think we can do them perfectly. And self-care isn't like that. Self-care is meant to be stuff that you can do, whatever you can do, that make you feel better. It's just deliberate acts of care for yourself. So let's do some more examples and we can see how we can fit things into our lives. I do stretches when I'm waiting for the kettle to boil or waiting for toast to pop out the toaster and stuff like that. I meant to do certain exercises for my ankles. I've spoken before that I have mobility issues with my ankles. So I will do those, pardon me, what was that? So I will do those while I'm cooking. You know, I'll do those stretches and those balances while I'm waiting for pasta to boil or whatever. Like screen breaks, right? We all know we should take screen breaks, especially if you're working from home. Like, Zoom fatigue is real and it is tough. Sometimes it's hard for us to get a screen break, but we can stare out a window or stare at a wall even, just to give our eyes something else to focus on, right? Give our eyes something a bit further away to focus on rather than something really close, like screens tend to be. And that can still reduce the strain in our eyes, make our eyes just feel a bit better, just have a bit of a break, right? You can still do things that are good without going the whole hog and doing the ideal of those things. Obviously, if you've got the energy, go do the ideal things, go out for a walk, do yoga if yoga's your thing, do whatever exercise, movement, you do all that kind of stuff. But if you can't, there are little things you can do, and that can be a foundation of just enough to keep you going, and maybe you can build on that going forward. There is a organisation, it's called Unfuck Your Habitat. It's on Twitter, and there's a Patreon as well, and I used to follow them on Tumblr when I was on Tumblr, and I remember they had this post that was posted every Saturday, it was definitely over the weekend, and it said, make your bed even if you're just getting back into it. And I kind of love that idea, and I've done it myself. I've got out of bed on a day where I'm in bed all day for whatever reason, got out of bed to go to the bathroom, and I've come back and I've just, not properly, but I've just straightened the bed a little bit and then got back into it, because getting into a bed that's made or straightened is much nicer than getting into like a crumpled bed. And again, it was so little, but it didn't make a huge difference, but it made a little difference, and that little thing can be everything when you're feeling really rough. Yeah, so this is how I try and do self-care without getting too lost in the routine of it and getting too lost in what self-care should look like. Self-care is whatever little pocket of time you can grab for yourself. If the only time you can do deep breaths is when you're on the toilet, then do that. I once worked, so before my tech career and before doing this, I worked in pharmacy. It was very busy, it was very stressful, it was very anxiety inducing, and lunch was pretty much our only break. There was no time for the breaks at all. So the only time I really could have a bit of a breather, if it wasn't lunchtime, was when I was going to the bathroom. So I've done deep breaths in the bathroom before. Again, not ideal, but it got me through the next couple of hours, and then I could do it again, and that got me through the next one, and then I was leaving and I was home. You know, little things that you can do can just give you a push just for a couple of hours. It's better than nothing. And again, it's all about building those routine breakers, those thought breakers in, right? So I use reminders for a lot of things still. I use reminders for my meds, both morning and evening meds. I also have a reminder every evening for mood tracking. And it's not just so I remember, although that is a big important thing, otherwise I will probably get lost in things. But the reminders also act as routine breakers, thought breakers, you know? So especially the mood tracking one, that's at 8 o'clock in the evening. And that means that not only do I mood track, which is quite useful, I find that really useful, I'll talk about that more in a couple of weeks, but it also means that I stop and I do that, and then I can have that thing to look and go, am I doing something that's good for me? And when I say good for me, I guess I mean not bad for me. I don't mean like, am I doing something productive? I mean, if I'm doom scrolling, or if I'm just mindlessly scrolling through Twitter and Reddit and there's something else I could do, maybe I could read or watch something on the telly or something that would be less bad for my brain, can I do that instead? You know, it's just that little bit of a break that means you can just look and go, oh no, maybe I can do something else. And maybe you don't. Like some days I'll track my mood and then I'll go straight back to the internet because that's all I've got the energy for. I haven't got the cognitive abilities to make decisions around watching things or reading things, because my to read / reading pile is quite excessive. But other days I do something different, or I go and look at a happier part of the internet, or I use the internet to talk to people rather than just scroll through awfulness on Twitter. You know, it's all about breaking the pattern and seeing if there's something else you can do that would be slightly better for you. So don't be afraid to use reminders. Even if you have nothing to be reminded for, I saw on Twitter that someone, since lockdown, since they've been working from home, they had a reminder in the evening on their phone that was just like, are you having a good time, or are you relaxing or something? And it wasn't meant to be judgmental, it was just meant to break that pattern of just staring at a screen all day, every day, and doing something else. So use reminders if you need them, you know, set reminders for when your workday should end, so you actually have a break away from the screen for a little bit, or at least away from a work screen. Even if you pick up your own laptop instead, there's still a little bit of a break there, and it's a little bit of a routine of, I am no longer on my work laptop, I am on my home laptop. Make sure you talk to people or reach out to people at a whatever frequency works for you, both in terms of what you would like, what you need, and what you can do. Don't be afraid. Or at least, I was going to say don't be afraid to reach out, but I think what I actually meant was just reach out. It's important. I'm not sure where my brain was going with that. This is like the 5th time I've recorded this video, because the last time I recorded it, I was recording with the camera mic and it sounded like garbage, so bear with me. So make sure you find joy where you can. Sometimes it feels difficult when everything is awful and the news is awful and you can't really leave the house too much to find those little bits of joy, but try and do that wherever you can. It can be something as small as a beverage that you like, that you spend time making for yourself. It can be, if you do go for a walk, just having a look around, seeing if you can find pockets of nature or little things that you may not have noticed normally. It can be watching something that you've watched before that makes you laugh. Just try and find those little bits where you can. Remember that we're all in this together and that most of us are having a bit of a time of it. And I don't mean that in a... I guess I mean no one is going to like mark you or grade you on how well you do with this and how like clean your house is and how well homeschooling goes if you're doing that, and how productive you are working from home if your productivity drops a little bit because of, you know, like no one is going to be... You just need to get through. And it's going to be messy and it's going to be ugly, and it probably already has been messy and ugly, and maybe you're just sick of ugly and mess, and I feel you, I do, but sometimes you've just got to accept these things and accept the feelings that come with them. Try not to shame yourself too much, because very little good comes out of shame when it comes to these things. So just try to be kind to yourself, try to be on your own side, because it's really tough out here at the moment, yeah. So yeah, this is a short video about small, low-key, low-energy acts of self-care. I hope this video helps in whatever little way I can help from the other side of a computer screen. I would love to hear your low-key self-care comfort tips that you do. If you can share, then other people can figure out things that may fit into their life and their circumstances as well. That would be amazing. I would love to have you like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You can follow me at carebackpack on both Instagram and Twitter, and you can check out the website for resources. If you need some self-care resources, there's a bunch on there. They're all linked in the description as well. And yeah, I think that's it from me for now. I hope you're doing as well as you can be. Try to be kind to yourself, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks with a video about mood tracking. Okay, bye!